بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. The biography of the Prophet ﷺ, according to one, when the moon split. Translation of Rawdat al-Anwar في سيرة النبي المختار, Sheikh Safi Rahman Mubarak Furi, and we are at the moment on page
121.
121 is the boycott. Now,
Chapter 9, the boycott. Total boycott. The polytheists would not be outsmarted. They held a meeting at Hanif Banu Kinana to decide how best to counter Abu Talib's successful maneuver. Eventually, they came up with an idea of a total social boycott. Thenceforth, the members of Banu Hashim and Banu al-Muttalib were to be treated as outcasts. The other clans from the Quraysh would not marry their daughters, transact business with them, keep company with them, nor would they accept any peace overtures from these two clans until they handed over the Prophet ﷺ. Once all the people present had agreed with the points mentioned above, Baghid bin Amr bin Hashim put this pact in writing, and the parchment was hung in the Kaaba. When the deed was done, Baghid's hand, or at least some of his fingers, were paralyzed.
right, before we go to that paralyzation, first of all, just to remind you that after the Quraysh had failed a number of times to make the Muslims stop their da'wah and also to return the Muslims who had migrated to the Habasha, and they have seen that the people entering the religion into large numbers, and they are following the Prophet ﷺ, and also some of those followers are mighty people like Hamza, we have discussed his embracing Islam, and also Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhuma. So the kuffar decided to assassinate or kill the Prophet ﷺ. And even the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he had pointed out for us the place where the people of Quraysh got together to agree to boycott Banu Hashim until they surrender and hand in the Prophet ﷺ so that they could kill him. So he had mentioned Khayf Bani Kanana. So Abu Hurairah narrates, which is a hadith sahih, that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that from tomorrow, which was the day of Al-Nahr, the day of Al-Adha, and he was in Mina, we're going to be going to Khayf Bani Kanana or Bani Kinana, and because the kuffar have decided upon kufr, meaning to kill the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he meant al-Muhassab, the word al-Muhassab, the valley of al-Muhassab. So Quraysh and Kinana, they got together against Banu Hashim and Banu Abdul Muttalib, or Bani al-Muttalib. They call it Bani al-Muttalib or Bani al-Muttalib. They have decided to boycott them, meaning that they don't buy or sell from them, they don't marry or give them their daughters to marry until they hand in the messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Abu Talib, when he saw that the Quraysh had decided and they took their decision, he saw that the best thing is to make the Prophet ﷺ enter the valley of Abu Talib, and also he called upon Banu Hashim and whom had allied themselves from Bani al-Muttalib to get together regardless whether they're Muslim or non-Muslims, and protect the Prophet ﷺ. Some of them, they've done that because of lineage or tribal wise, and some of them they're because of Iman. So those are Muslims have done it according to their Iman to protect the Prophet ﷺ, and some of them they've done it because of that the Messenger of Allah belonged to their tribe. So when the people of Quraysh had seen that Banu Hashim and Banu Muttalib decided to protect the Prophet ﷺ in the valley of Abu Talib, so they have got together to boycott him, and this is a total boycott. So not to buy, not to sell, as we said, not to marry, and not to give them their daughters until they hand in the Messenger of Allah so that they could kill him. And they have written a writing in that to make sure that they have agreed upon it, and not only that, they have hanged it in the place where not just only the people of Mecca would see, even the ones or from the outsiders would see such a covenant or a writing or cooperation or whatever you want to call it, contract. And it was 3 years where the people had boycotted the family of the Prophet of Allah, Banu Hashim and Banu Talib. Abu Lahab, we don't have any narration which is authentic regarding his position. Was he with the kuffar who are against the Banu Hashim, or was he from Banu Hashim? He says here that they accept for Abu Lahab. We don't have really a say regarding this issue, because Abu Lahab, you see, even though he's a kafir, even though he hates the Prophet ﷺ, yet still he has this sort of tribalism, he belongs to his tribe. We say that definitely he most likely will not be with the side of Abu Talib, because he was not really happy when Hamza radiallahu anh had embraced Islam. So the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, and with those people with him, and Abu Talib, his uncle, they were really being boycotted properly until they were in a state of hunger and a state of starvation. Go ahead.
The boycott proved devastating. The Muslims, as well as all the members of Banu Hashim and Banu al-Muttalib, Muslims as well as non-Muslims, with the exception of Abu Lahab, were forced to withdraw from Mecca and live in Suhaib Abu Talib. Unable to buy food from the Meccans, they found themselves reduced to eating leaves and roots. The situation became so horrific that the cries of starving women and children echoed over the valley. Few sympathizers dared smuggle them any food for the fear of punishment. Hakim bin Hazm, however, managed now and then to send some flour to his aunt Khadeejah radiallahu anha.
No, that is without an authentic chain. So you could say this is nothing to do with the hadith checking. It's to do with history has been mentioned and got no chain. You could check it out. Now,
many caravans carrying food and other goods passed by the mountain pass where the Muslims and the exiled clans lived. The refugees, however, could only come out to meet the caravans to buy food during the forbidden months, those months when fighting was prohibited. The Meccans, however, used to offer much higher prices to the caravan merchants for their goods, so that the refugees could not compete with them. Despite such grim circumstances, the Prophet ﷺ never ceased inviting non-Muslims to Islam. He was particularly active during the time of Hajj. It was at this time that he would speak to tribes that had traveled to Mecca from all over the Arab world.
Right. Well, as for the Prophet ﷺ still inviting the people in the times of Hajj, we have as well no authentic chain regarding this. We know that Abu Talib, he had made the Prophet ﷺ to be protected in the valley, not to come out of the valley, because the people of Quraysh decided to kill him. Now, let's go talking about the boycott and ceased.
Boycott ends. 3 years of near starvation and hardship took Banu Hashim and Banu al-Muttalib to the edge of despair. Meanwhile, Allah was softening the hearts of Quraysh through the 5 Ashraf nobles, who were the only people to give a thought to the refugees' plight. The first of these 5 was Hisham bin Amr bin Harith, a highly respected noble.
We don't know, those 5 we don't know really have any authentic chain regarding this issue, but we know for a fact that when the 3 years had passed and this boycott, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it to be, ends and to finish, they have decided that there is no benefit out of this boycott, because it was actually for the sake of the Banu Hashim and Banu Talib to hand in the Prophet ﷺ, and nothing had happened. And remember, these people are from the people of Quraysh. They have a relationship somehow in the 4th or the 3rd grandfather. So all of the reason that for the boycotts was not achieved. So there is no benefit. Actually, there is even more harm, because there's no selling, there's no merchandise, so there's loss on both sides. So that's why the people of Quraysh, or the senior from them, and those 5 are not mentioned in the proper chain, so we say that the people of Quraysh have decided to end this boycott. So because of that, alhamdulillah, the Prophet ﷺ, whoever was with him, they left the valley. And that's why I said, how can the Prophet of Allah go to make Hajj while he just left the valley at that time after 3 years? Now,
when he reflected on the suffering of the exiles, he was deeply saddened. They were kinsmen, and the Quraysh had done the unthinkable by breaking off all ties with them. While the families in Mecca thrived, the refugees were dying of starvation one by one. In the 3 years since the enforcement of the boycott, no one seemed interested in its withdrawal. Finally, Hisham decided to talk to 4 other high-ranking members of the Quraysh and convince them to end this injustice. Hisham first spoke to Suhaib bin
all of that doesn't have to be brackets. We don't have a chain to check that up. And I'm going to be story now of Abu Jahl as well, talking to him. Go ahead, which is not all as well. It's not really with a chain. Now, go ahead.
With Hisham first spoke with Suhaib bin Abd Abi Umayyah Makhzumi, the Prophet ﷺ's cousin, Mut'im bin Adi, Abdul Bukhtari bin Hisham, and finally to Zam'a bin Aswad. He appealed to their sense of kinship.
Okay, the next morning, please.
The next morning, the 4 men waited for other members of the Quraysh to assemble around the Kaaba. Zuhair finished circumambulating the Kaaba and then stood before the people.
Okay, all of that, as I said, without a chain, so we don't have really... Okay, so Abu Jahl said...
Abu Jahl was furious. You are wrong. By God, it will not be torn.
What is it will not be torn? Meaning? The parchment, yes, which is the agreement. It will not be torn off. But this is as well null, and it's not really without a chain. So we can leave it as a history. And we go to Abu Jahl again, and the last Abu Jahl. At this point.
The sudden rebellion.
At this point,
Abu Talib saw his opportunities to step in. He had come into the precincts of Kaaba to tell the Quraysh that the Prophet ﷺ had received a revelation about the fate of the wicked parchment. He stood up and facing the Quraysh, he told them that Allah had revealed to the Prophet ﷺ that termites had eaten the parchment inside the Kaaba. The only thing that remained of the document, Abu Talib said, were the words, "In your name, O Allah."
I have been made to read this because it's in the mind of lots of people. This is nothing to do with the Hadith Sahih. Okay, this is just purely mentioned without a chain. So we can't make a check-in about it to be say it's authentic or not. So it is in the head of lots of people, I'm pretty sure, because of the film as well and the message where the parchment was, yes, I think it's been eaten. I remember I've seen a long time ago when I was a kid, and except for the word Bismika Allahum. Now this is not be authentic. We do have miracles more than when in authentic hadith. We don't need that miracle. Actually, we have lots of miracles that happened at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, so
he stood up and facing
the delegates, which is not really right. So the delegates of Quraysh. Go, flick the page.
Okay. The Quraysh petitioned Abu Talib.
That's it.
A few months after the boycott ended, Abu Talib fell ill.
Oh, right. Okay, this is maybe... Yeah, go ahead.
He was over 80 years old, and the Quraysh did not expect him to recover.
No.
While this appeared to be good news for the Meccan pagans, the Quraysh felt that it made the situation even more complicated. How would it look to the other tribes in the peninsula? They asked themselves, if we punished Muhammad ﷺ after his uncle died. It would be more prudent, they decided, if they approached Abu Talib with a proposal. Ask your nephew to keep silent about our gods and we'll hold our peace about his religion. Abu Talib, knowing that he would not live much longer, was certainly interested in finding some way to ensure his nephew's safety after his death. He heard the proposal from the Quraysh and called his beloved nephew to his bedside. The Prophet ﷺ listened and then turned to Abu Talib, "Uncle," he said, "I ask them only one thing, and if they accept this thing, the whole of Arabia will be under their control and the non-Arabs will pay them tribute." "Only one thing?" the Quraysh asked. We are prepared to accept 10 such things. What is it?" "La ilaha illallah," said the Prophet ﷺ. "There is no deity except the one God, Allah." "What?" the Quraysh exclaimed, marveling at this statement. He has fashioned only one God out of all of them. This is very strange.
Right, this is all of it as well, without chain. we can't really reach the authenticity of that. So it has been mentioned, and I've read it because as well some people know about it, just to say to them that it's not to be checked according to the muhaddithin. just to talk about the story of the, can you just mention please what Abu Jahl had done here?
The only thing that remained of the document, Abu Talib said, were the words, "In your name, O Allah." Abu Talib then challenged the Quraysh, saying that if the Prophet ﷺ's claim turned out to be false, he would no longer stand between them and the Prophet ﷺ.
Or this to be not authentic. I'm just reading it just because I want to actually clear your memory from that. Good.
However, if the Prophet ﷺ had spoken the truth, the Quraysh should end the boycott. The Quraysh accepted Abu Talib's challenge. When Mut'im bin Adi rose to retrieve the parchment, the assembly saw that it had been destroyed. Its only remaining words were, "Bismika Allahumma," in your name, O Allah, and Allah's name. Allah had given the Quraysh yet another sign, but once again they refused to admit their error and accept Islam. Their only concession was to end the boycott. The Prophet ﷺ and his companions came out of the mountain pass and were allowed to live in Mecca once again.
Could you, the morals? They're not morals, but most of them are really actually summarization of what we have done. Would you like me to go to the summarization, or shall I go to the next page? Which one do you want? What, summarization? Next, please. I have any questions for you to answer. What do you want? Okay. If any objection, please put your finger up.
Chapter 10. The year of sorrow and the Prophet ﷺ's visit to Taif.
Okay, the year of sorrow, this is not really being authenticated as the year of sorrow being called by the Prophet ﷺ or by the Islam. It's the year of sorrow that we call it the year of sorrow. Because what happened to it, there are lots of things that made the Prophet ﷺ sad and feeling sorrow. But there's no, we should not really say that it is being adopted by the companions or adopted by the Prophet of Allah to be the year of sorrow. Because in that year of sorrow there was the year of happiness as well. The ascension to the Isra al-Mi'raj, the greatest of all signs. So it was a thriving journey for the Prophet of Allah. Now,
the year of sorrow. Abu Talib's illness worsened, and as the hour of his death drew near, the Prophet ﷺ went to his side. He found Abu Jahl and Abdullah bin Abi Umayyah sitting beside his dying uncle. Undeterred by their presence, the Prophet ﷺ urged Abu Talib to make the declaration of faith, La ilaha illallah.
This is authentic. Now,
my uncle, say La ilaha illallah. This is a simple phrase, and if you say it, I'll plead with Allah for your salvation. The two pagans, however, refused to sit in silence. Abu Talib, they cried.
Who are the two people?
Abu Jahl and Abdullah bin Abi Umayyah.
As Abu Jahl, that is a kafir. As Abdullah ibn Abi Umayyah, they had embraced Islam just before the repossession of Mecca. Abdullah ibn Abi Umayyah, he is the brother of Salama and Atika. So he's the brother of Salama and Atika. So Abdullah ibn Abi Umayyah, he had embraced Islam just before it. But Abu Jahl, just because he said the two pagan people, maybe you think that they stay pagans, both of them, but actually it's Abu Jahl. Now,
the two pagans, however, refused to sit in silence. Abu Talib, they cried, will you shun the religion of Abdul Muttalib? They continued talking to the dying man until the last words that were heard from Abu Talib were on the religion of Abdul Muttalib.
On the religion of Abdul Muttalib, that means the religion of shirk. Now,
still the Prophet ﷺ refused to give up on his uncle. I will ask Allah to forgive you until I am forbidden to do so. Soon after that, however, the following verse was revealed.
Okay, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, مَا كَانَ لِلنَّبِيِّ وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَنْ يَسْتَغْفِرُوا لِلْمُشْرِكِينَ وَلَوْ كَانُوا أُولِي قُرْبَى مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُمْ أَنَّهُمْ أَصْحَابُ الْجَحِيمِ.
Translation of the meaning of the verse. It is not fitting for the Prophet and the believers that they should pray for forgiveness for pagans, even if they are kin, after it is clear to them that they are companions of the fire.
Also, continuation of that, وَمَا كَانَ اسْتِغْفَارُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لِأَبِيهِ إِلَّا عَنْ مَوْعِدَةٍ وَعَدَهَا إِيَّاهُ فَلَمَّا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ أَنَّهُ عَدُوٌّ لِلَّهِ تَبَرَّأَ مِنْهُ إِنَّ إِبْرَاهِيمَ لَأَوَّاهٌ حَلِيمٌ. This is not in your book, but this is the edition of Surah At-Tawbah, verse 113 and plus 114. That is, Ibrahim, when he sought istighfar and forgiveness for his father, it was because of a promise Allah had given to him. But when Ibrahim alayhi salam, was sure that his father is the enemy of Allah, he said, I've got nothing to do with you, Ibrahim. He is awwah, and he is halim, forbearing, and he is prudent. Right. Now, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had revealed the following verse. إِنَّكَ لَا تَهْدِي مَنْ أَحْبَبْتَ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يَهْدِي مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَهُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِالْمُهْتَدِينَ Surah Al-Qasas, verse 56. Now,
Translation of the verse: it is not for you to guide whomever you like, but it is Allah who guides whom He wishes, and Allah knows those who are guided.
Right, so we could see here the Prophet ﷺ tried his best for his uncle Abu Talib to embrace Islam. But Abu Talib, even though that he loves his Prophet, still that there is something in his heart made him not to listen and made him to die upon the kufr. Even there's another narration where Abu Talib, he said, verily my nephew, which is me, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, had it been that the people of Quraysh would defame me and would say that I am a coward, that means I've said the word La ilaha illallah, that means I'm afraid of Allah, I would have said it. La aqrartu biha aynak. I would have made you happy with that word. But because people of Quraysh after my death would say, he had said it because of what? Because of cowardness. He's afraid of Allah. Look at that. Even that, as I said to you, remember, the arrogance and the pride sticks to the heart at the last moment. Get rid of it from now. The last thing just sticks to that. And he knows his prophet, he knows his nephew Muhammad ﷺ is to be upon the haqq, Abu Talib. He knows, because he's seen all, and so many of those things that is happening like miracles in front of his eyes. But yeah, because of the pride. Now, did the intercession of the Prophet ﷺ benefit his uncle? You know that he has been, Allah has told him not to seek forgiveness for his uncle. And he has as well told him that you can't guide who you love, but Allah guide whom He wills. But did the Prophet ﷺ intercession help Abu Talib? Yes, it did. We have here Abdullah ibn al-Abbas ibn Abdul Muttalib, which is his brother, the brother of Abu Talib. And you know that the sons of Abdul Muttalib are to be kuffar, except for whom? Al-Abbas and Hamza. Or the other four, that is kufr. One of them is Abu Talib. But Abu Talib, he's got sort of a specialty where the other brothers is incorrect. Apart from the Muslims, of course. Which is that when Al-Abbas, he said to the Prophet ﷺ, Messenger of Allah, and he's his nephew, Messenger of Allah. Even his nephew, he didn't say, dear nephew, he said, Messenger of Allah, addressing him, he was the Prophet of Allah, even though he's his uncle. Messenger of Allah. Abu Talib, he was helping, he was protecting him. Did that help him? The Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, yes, I have seen him in his last moment of his death, and he is in the fire itself. So I asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I made him to come from the deep fire into the shallow fire. إِلَى ضَحْضَاحٍ مِنَ النَّارِ. Take him from the deep fire to the shallow. And in another narration even, which is I found that the Prophet ﷺ, he said that if it hadn't been for my intercession, he would have been in the bottom of the fire. So if it hadn't been for my intercession, because of the words he said, had it been for the people of Quraysh would tell me that I'm a coward, I would have just said La ilaha illallah. Had it been for my intercession, the Prophet he said, he would have been in the bottom of the hellfire. And yet the Shia, he says, Abu Talib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said Abu Talib sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He came like what? Now they can plan the Prophet. They say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Because they can't tolerate to have the father of Ali to be what? Kafir. Can't have that. Okay, right. Radiallahu anhu wa ardah Ali. Now, Abdullah ibn Abbas also narrates, which is the son of Abbas, he says that the Messenger of Allah, he said, the ones who gets the minimum, the lightest of punishment in the fire are the ones like Abu Talib. Abu Talib, and the ones who like, and the lights. They have, that is, 2 sandals, and those sandals like burning coals, in which, or through which, their brains will boil. That's the minimum heat. So it's like 2 sandals made of coal, fire, where their brains are boiling out of them. This is the minimum, you could say, punishment for those who are kuffar and mushrikun, or even from the Muslims who have done sins. Now,
Should I go to the next? Khadeejah, or will read this?
hang on a second, just read.
Abu Talib died in the month of either Rajab or Ramadan, 10 years after the Prophet ﷺ began his mission. Although he had supported the Prophet ﷺ and protected him from his enemies, he died clinging to the faith of his forefathers.
Right, before we do that, we need to tell you that the Prophet ﷺ, when he got out of the valley, and Abu Talib just about to start getting illness, the Messenger ﷺ, seeing his companions and followers, had been suffering for 3 years. They had been eating, everything basically. And it's for the sake of surviving. Prophet of Allah ﷺ, he had acted according to the verse. That is, وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلَهَا. That is, the recompense of a sin is a sin like it. So, وَجَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ سَيِّئَةٌ مِثْلُهَا. And that is why the Prophet ﷺ, he had deemed it to be fit to supplicate to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against mushrikeen. And he said, Allahumma sab'un ka sab'i Yusuf. Oh Allah, strike them with 7 years, like the 7 years of Yusuf alayhi salam. The 7 years of Yusuf alayhi salam, they were in total famine. In the time of Yusuf, the Prophet Yusuf alayhi salam, they were in total famine. Drought, no rain, no crops. So as soon as the Prophet said, Allahumma a'inni alayhim bi sab'in ka sab'i Yusuf. That is, oh Allah, help me against those people of Quraysh who had boycotted us. With 7 years, that means famine and drought, just like you have done it to Yusuf alayhi salam. The following year, after the 3 years, what happened? Everything wiped off. It was like the Am al-Ramada, if you remember we talked about Am al-Ramada, the ash year, which is the time of Umar al-Khattab, the year 18 after Hijrah, where the dust is being taken by the gusting wind like the ashes of the fire. So Allah, Prophet ﷺ, as soon as he made the supplication, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala imposed upon the people of Quraysh is a full famine and drought, and they have started eating the leaves of the trees. So that's how desperate they were. Not only that, they used to eat the carrion animals which been dead and lying around, stinking. So they were eating that. Even because of their hunger, they were so dizzy. And when they're so dizzy, they look at the heavens, they see between them and the skies like a smoke. But it's not a smoke, it's because of the dizziness. Because of the dizziness. So that smoke is not the smoke that the Prophet ﷺ talked about before the day of resurrection. There's two smokes. The smoke which is a real one, that takes place before the day of resurrection, and this one which looks like, a smoke. It's like a mirage, like a haze, because of you're dizzy or hungry. That the smoke is not real. So here, when this happened, now we have to look at the Prophet ﷺ, you could say, manner and mercy. I mean, they deserve more than that, those people. So what happened when the Messenger ﷺ had done had supplicated and everything had been killed and there was nothing to eat except for the sand and those people were suffering. Abu Sufyan, before he embraced Islam, came to the Prophet ﷺ and he's saying to him, the people of Makkah are telling you, oh Muhammad, you are claiming that you have been sent with mercy, but yet your people are dying. How can you claim that you are being sent with mercy? Now Abu Sufyan is a kafir, disbeliever. He's telling the Prophet ﷺ, you've been sent with mercy. So what about you, Abu Sufyan, at that time? What about you? Why don't you embrace Islam if you know that he is the mercy messenger? So he said to him, so, oh Muhammad, that is, people saying that you have been sent with mercy. So they know that the Prophet of Allah, when he supplicates, Allah will fulfill his supplication. And your people are dying. So call Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for them. And the Messenger of Allah had called straight away, and straight away Allah sent the rain. And this is not really, it's not really amazing or something strange, because it happened a number of times. As soon as the Prophet of Allah calls Allah Azza wa Jal for the rain takes place. Because the Messenger of Allah and those who are with him, the companions, are so close to Allah Azza wa Jal, and they are, of course, the closest is Messenger of Allah, with him or those people. And those people, they supplicate as well, Allah Azza wa Jal will fulfill the supplication on the spot. And it happens a number of times. So when the Prophet ﷺ came out of the valley, then we find that Abu Talib had gone ill. Abu Talib, he was as I said, protection of the Prophet, even the Messenger of Allah cried upon him because he had, his uncle. So even though that you have a father who is a disbeliever and he died, no problem that you cried upon him. You cry upon him because he's your father, and you cry upon him that he had died without embracing Islam, which is even worse. Okay, which is the worst thing, that you have your closest family, closest person, closest member of your family dies upon no Islam. Now, over there.
Al-Abbas radiallahu anhuma, Al-Abbas radiallahu anhu, one of the Prophet ﷺ's uncles, once asked the Prophet ﷺ, how could you be of any service to Abu Talib, the one who supported you and rebuked others for your sake? And the Prophet ﷺ said, he is lying in a shallow part of hell. Had I not been there, you would have been sent to a deep ditch in hell.
Right, after the death of Abu Talib now, just about a few days after, we have Khadeejah, the most beloved wife of the Prophet ﷺ, had died. Now,
Khadeejah radiallahu anha dies. 2 months and 3 days after the death of Abu Talib, the Prophet ﷺ's wife, Khadeejah radiallahu anha, passed away.
Okay, we can't say 2 or 3 days, but few days. Very few days, because we don't have any authentic to 2 to 3 days. So the Prophet ﷺ, he has been saddened with that so much. Now,
she was the Prophet ﷺ's trusted advisor and loyal companion, and was known by the title Mother of the Believers. The Prophet ﷺ once said of Khadeejah, when no one believed me, she believed in me. When people accused me of lying, she affirmed my truthfulness.
Khadeejah?
No. Prophet ﷺ once said of
Khadeejah, not of Khadeejah, of Khadeejah, of Khadeejah. He said it to Aishah, radiallahu anha. Now,
when no one believed me, she believed in me. When people accused me of lying, she affirmed my truthfulness. And when people tried to impoverish me, she made me a partner in her wealth. Allah gave me children through her and none through my other wives.
So he used to love her so much, and there are lots of ahadith regarding her virtues and excellencies. And the Prophet ﷺ, he confirms that those people who had believed him at the beginning, they do have the edge on other companions. So for example, when the dispute that took place between Umar al-Khattab and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the best of the two companions. What happened is Abu Bakr, he was disputing with Umar, and he had done something wrong against Umar radiallahu anhu. Umar, he was upset and saddened, so Abu Bakr, he sought his forgiveness. Forgive me. Umar did not, and he kept going. And Prophet and Abu Bakr was behind him, and he's asking Umar to forgive him. Even he went to the house of Umar, and Umar even closed the door in the face of Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr feeling that he's so guilty. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ, and while he was going to the Prophet of Allah, he was holding his garment, showing his knees. It's like, something really struck him, or something had happened. Prophet ﷺ, as soon as he saw him, he said, verily, this person, meaning Abu Bakr, has been falling into a quarrel or dispute. So he told him what happened between him and Umar. He said, Messenger of Allah, I have done something wrong, and he did not accept my apology. He did not accept to forgive me. So Prophet ﷺ, he said, Allah will forgive you. I mean, why do you care about Umar? Why do you want to care about Umar? Allah will forgive for you. Allah will forgive for you. And Umar, what happened at that time, radiallahu anhu, he felt guilty at not accepting the apology of Abu Bakr. So he left his house, going to the house of Abu Bakr. He didn't find him there. So he went to the Prophet ﷺ, and as soon as he came to the Prophet of Allah, Abu Bakr is already there. So as soon as he came, Umar radiallahu anhu, the Prophet ﷺ was so angry, to the extent that Abu Bakr knelt on his knees begging the Prophet of Allah, Messenger of Allah, it was me who has done the mistake. I am the one to blame, not him. And the Prophet is not even listening to Abu Bakr. As soon as he approached, he said, you people, you have belied me. And Abu Bakr, he had said the truth. He said, you said that I've lied. And Abu Bakr said, what? He said the truth. He is the one who had helped me with his wealth and with his help, with his family. وَأَسَانِ بِمَالِهِ وَأَهْلِهِ, with his family. أَمَا أَنْتُمْ تَارِكُوا لِصَاحِبِي, aren't you going to leave my friend to me? I mean, don't tamper with my friend. That's Abu Bakr. Same thing he said regarding Khadeejah radiallahu anha to Aishah. Don't talk about her. And that's why Aishah, as soon as she heard these words, she said, I will never mention Khadeejah in any bad way. I will never mention her. Because she was so jealous, she never seen her. So every time our Prophet ﷺ would slaughter a sheep, he would send some meat to the friends of Khadeejah. Every time he hears the Hala, the sister of Khadeejah, approaching, Khadeejah. He remembers Khadeejah because the steps of her are similar to the same steps of his wife, and also she talks like similar to his wife. So then he would ask her, how are you, Hala, how are you? So she was so jealous. And the Messenger of Allah, what do you want to do with her? An old woman she passed in the past, and Allah had swapped you with a nice, sort of young girl. So what do you want to remember about that? So the Prophet said, I have been given the love of her. And Allah gave me the children from her and nobody else. From Khadijah radiallahu anha. And that's why the Prophet did not marry any women when he was married to Khadijah radiallahu anha wa arda. Now,
once Khadeejah radiallahu anha came bearing food for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was in the midst of receiving a revelation from Jibreel alayhi salam. The angel said, O Prophet, here is Khadeejah coming to you with a vessel. Give her greetings from your Lord and give her glad tidings of a palace of pearls in paradise in which there are only peace and repose.
Peace and no tiredness. This is a palace special for Khadijah. And not, this is the palace. More important is what? Salam. So imagine Allah sending you salam special for you. Who you are? Why? Soon as Ubay ibn Ka'b, he heard the Prophet ﷺ say, Allah the Almighty is commanding me to recite Surah Al-Bayyinah for you. For you to recite to me. That means Allah is commanding me to tell you to recite Surah what? Al-Bayyinah. So Ubay now is not really in the mind of reciting. He said, Messenger of Allah, Allah mentioned me. Asammani Allah? Prophet mentioned yes. Asammani Allah. And he was in tears. How can Allah name me? That means he said to you, make Ubay recite for you Surah Al-Bayyinah. He can't believe because it's nothing. He's nothing. To be mentioned by Allah the Almighty subhanahu wa ta'ala. So here we have Allah is sending a special salam through Jibreel, who's a special angel, to Khadijah. يقرئها السلام رب العالمين, the Lord of everything, sending salam to Khadijah. She must be special. رضي الله عنها وارضاها. Right, go ahead.
Long after her death and despite his subsequent remarriages, the Prophet ﷺ would often mention Khadeejah radiallahu anha and pray for Allah's mercy on her soul. Thinking of her, he would begin to weep. Whenever he slaughtered a lamb, he would send her friends a portion of the meat.
Well, not only that, Khadijah, the Prophet ﷺ said, أفضل النساء, and the people are the best of women. In the women of Ahl al-Jannah are to be Khadijah, Fatima, Asiya, and Maryam bint Imran. Those are the best women in Jannah. So the Prophet ﷺ had given her lots of merits. Right, now we come to another incident that took to the Prophet ﷺ. Now,
sorrow after sorrow. After the deaths of Abu Talib and Khadeejah radiallahu anha, the Meccan pagans became bold and would often insult and ridicule the Prophet ﷺ in public. Now that the Prophet ﷺ had lost his two greatest supporters, small acts of unkindness stung him more than ever as he grieved over his bereavements. Once a man from the Quraysh threw dust on the Prophet ﷺ's head. One of the Prophet ﷺ's daughters washed away the dirt, weeping bitterly at her father's suffering. Trying to console her, the Prophet ﷺ said, Dear daughter, do not cry, fear, for Allah will protect your father. Later, he admitted that
Okay, this is might as well, there's no chain for it to make it authentic. Right, go ahead. No.
Later, he admitted that it was only after Abu Talib's death that the insults of the Quraysh began to prick him.
That is true. In totality, we say that after Quraysh realized that Abu Talib is the protector's gone, they could dare themselves to say something to the Prophet of Allah. But remember, there is Hamza still alive. It's Hamza radiallahu anhu. It's Umar al-Khattab. He's not related, but it's Umar. So even Abu Talib is gone, but Abu Talib, because he represents the head of the whole of Quraysh, the head of all Bani Hashim. Now,
the Prophet ﷺ marries Saudah and then Aishah radiallahu anha. About 1 month after the death of Khadeejah radiallahu anha, the Prophet ﷺ married Saudah bin Zam'a in the month of Shawwal. Saudah radiallahu anha had previously been married to her cousin Sakran bin Amr radiallahu anhu. The couple had been among the early Muslims who had migrated to Abyssinia. After returning to Mecca, Saudah's husband died. At the end of her period of mourning, the Prophet ﷺ married her. A year later, the Prophet ﷺ married Aishah radiallahu anha in the month of Shawwal. This marriage was also solemnized in Mecca. At the time, Aishah radiallahu anha was only 6 years old. However, she was sent as a bride to the Prophet ﷺ when she was 9. She was the most beloved wife of the Prophet ﷺ and the greatest female scholar of Islam. The relationship between the Prophet ﷺ and her has given Muslims an insight into the Prophet ﷺ's role as a husband and the deep love he inspired in her. The camaraderie between them, the painful episodes of the slander against Aisha radiallahu anha, and the confidences he divulged to her all give us insights into their rich, complex, and profound relationship.
right, we know that Saudah radiallahu anha, she was much, much older, but we don't know exactly which month that she was married to the Prophet of Allah, but we know that she was married straight away after her. Second wife was Saudah, third wife was Aisha. Now, was that just about before the migration or just after the migration? No, we're not really sure, but we know that definitely Saudah was before Aisha. And also Saudah, she had been gone old, and the Prophet ﷺ she thought that he would have left her, so she thought that she wanted to be the wife of the Prophet of Allah in the hereafter. She said, Messenger of Allah, because she's gone old, she can't offer him what the other women can offer him. So she said that I would offer my night to Aisha. She knows that Aisha is the most dearest wife to him, and just keep me with you. The Prophet ﷺ accepted that. And now we come into the incident, which is, you could say, not, I would say, something which is bad, but it's even as bad as the defeat that took place in the Battle of Uhud. Which Battle of Uhud, I would say, not a defeat. I would say, as Abdullah ibn Abbas, it could be a victory. Because even though that we know the companions had died in that battle, 70 is not that much compared with, as well, the lots of people died from the side of the Quraysh. But because it was a defeat that the Muslims did not win, but actually they won, that have learned a lot from it. So anyway, this incident that's taking place now, which is going to be discussed,
9:15.
it's a big topic. Yeah. Can I leave that inshallah for, okay, we'll just leave the questions and answers. So can I just leave that? I'll leave that inshallah for 2 weeks because it's a big one. And as an incident that took place where the Prophet had suffered, yet he had shown the mercy. Okay, if you have any questions, please go ahead. And we have 15 minutes. By the way, can you flick through the pages as well? After that incident of Taif, you could find that the Quraysh demand a sign. Yes, we have discussed that before. So demanding a sign, all of that, we have discussed it. So, which is the moon split. Did we discuss it? Did you talk about it? Not in this quarter. Okay, we'll discuss it. We'll discuss it, inshallah. Okay, we'll discuss it. But actually, it happened not when that happened. Actually, before, at the time of Abu Talib. Now, I said they asked me this question so many times, and I can't really keep repeating the answer again and again. Right. There's no difference, as I said. When I said history, it means it has no chain. So how can I decide if it's authentic or not? This question has been asked about 3-4 times in every class, almost. History, that means I can't say it's authentic. Inside me. But if it's unauthentic, that means it's got a chain. When you decide it's unauthentic, it will be unauthentic. History, it's no chain. It's like when they talk about the Crusades, what they've done. Some of these things that they've said, just people make, they fabricate things as well, they put it down together. But it's to do with the biography of the Prophet of Allah. We have to be sure this is with a chain. Who had narrated it? We don't know. It's been put in the Siyah with Hisham, or put into the Al-Waqidi, he narrated with no chain. I can't check it because there's no chain. So the scholars leave it as history. History means you can't take it as on board as to be had happened. Okay? Can this question be clear all the time, please? You can ask this question a number of times, and I repeat the answer all the time. Now, when I say it's unauthentic, it means it has a chain, but it's unauthentic. But if it's history, then it's got no authenticity. I can't check it. No. That is, please. Jazakallah. What time is that now? What time is that exactly? Just before we start, the confusing word history is in English, history means is authentic. But it doesn't mean in Arabic authentic. We have history and his story. Do you understand that? And his story becomes history. That's the problem. So we don't want to, his story becomes history, so where is it to change? So everything that is being mentioned, when it's history, that means we don't have anything to say it's authentic, so we leave it. It's been mentioned that we can't just say, chuck it out of the Siyah because it's there. Because it could be, found in another book with a chain, then we will have a narration of that, so we could really look at it. Right? And that's why I said three things that having got the chains, the battles, and the biography, and the interpretation. Not all of it, but most of it. Now, follow.
Sheikh, was there any Quran review during the time of the Boycott in the valley?
Was there any Quran revealed while the companions were in the valley, the 3 years? As far as I know, I can't really say yes or no. I cannot say that. But I haven't come to my mind now something that was revealed during those 3 years. No, hasn't come to my mind. But I'm not saying definitely with. No, I have to be equivocally saying I can't say that until I make sure. Now, Phil.
I've heard of a hadith. I was wondering if
Can you just why do you ask this question? Do you have any something in your mind regarding this issue?
We're talking about the boycott. I'm thinking obviously the Quran was revealed before that because he's a messenger.
Yeah.
So obviously was the Quran being revealed or was it revealed British stock or maybe?
No idea. Now.
During the boycott, one of the Sahaba found the dead carcass of a camel and they were so hungry that they ate it.
We don't have a narration which is to authenticate such an incident that a companion had found a camel and he was dead and he had eaten it while the boycott taking place. But you don't need that incident to make it legal or permissible for a person to eat a carrion in his hungry. Because you have the Quran. That is, he was being pushed. But he is not transgressor, nor he is going overboard. So, he's eating because he wants to survive. You don't need to have that incident to support the permissibility of eating a dead animal if you are in a state of hunger to the extent that you're about to die. And of course you eat what is sufficient for you to survive. Not to say, tastes nice, let me go ahead. So it's just for you to support your life. Now, any question regarding what? Now I'll open the 1 minute, Sirah or not Sirah, for you to ask the question. You've got only 5 minutes. Follow.
Regarding, you see something that's pretty in water. So I heard that you want me to say MashaAllah and you to say Allah will guide you. Is that true?
If you've seen something in your brother, you're not allowed to say MashaAllah, you can say Allahumma barik fi. Prove it. Say to that person. It doesn't say that you didn't say MashaAllah. It says ala barakт. He didn't say this. You can't say MashaAllah. Anything to do Allah. You can say, oh, Allahu Akbar, Subhanallah. All of that is okay. It's to mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do you understand that? So he who said that, what is he proof? You can't say MashaAllah. So the Subhanallah, MashaAllah, Barakallah, Tabarakallah, may Allah make it good for you. It's all to do with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that would dismantle the evil eye. Now,
So can Hajjam fix a rate for his services because of the hadith about taking money of that? On the other hand, Prophet ﷺ used to give a dinar.
No, fixing the money is not a sunnah, nor not fixing the money is a sunnah. Okay, it's up to him. But we say that the upper hand is better than the lower hand. This is becoming the lower hand when you take money for the hijama. Prophet ﷺ said, "Kasb al-hajjami khabith." That is, the earning of the hajjam is to be no good. Even Abu Talib, when he asked the Prophet ﷺ, when he said, I am a person, I've got some orphans, I'm looking after them. The Prophet said, no, until he said, okay, give it to your animals. So you could use it for your petrol for your car, no problem. Fuel for the car, if you need the fuel. But don't take money for the hijama. Prophet ﷺ, he gives 1 dinar to the hajjam, and Imam Ahmad, following that, he had done dinar, because Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, he would not write a hadith into his book until he would implement it. When he saw this hadith, Prophet ﷺ, then he gave 1 dinar to the hajjam. He was so poor, he kept saving until he got the 1 dinar. And then as soon as he got the dinar, he made hijama and he gave the hajjam 1 dinar, just to implement the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So Shaykh al-Albani rahimahullah, he says, we implement both hadiths. We say to the hajjama, don't take, and we say the one who's making hijama, offer. Okay, you give, another person is not supposed to take. So we are implementing both hadiths. When we say it's khabith, it means that khabith doesn't mean just haram, it means as well less than haram. So khabith doesn't mean as well haram, because the Prophet ﷺ, when he had seen dates being given as a sadaqah and it was dry, with his stick he poked it and he said, this you will not give it to your own family. So dry. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that khabith, but it's not khabith, it's food, but it's not good. We call it in Arabic radi, bad. So it's bad money. Okay? Bad money. Now, further. What is the rule of regarding of a person who teaches Quran taking money for teaching the Quran? Can I ask the person who's asking the question, what is the rule of a teacher in a school who is his role teaching the Quran in the class and he's taking money at the end of the month? As soon as he put this question, it's no problem. If it's a school, no problem. If it's a private, it's a problem. It's true or not? True or not? If it's a school, he's going to school, but he's teaching Quran. Okay, what is the rule? Of an imam leading the prayer and taking money at the end of the month. It's all of the same thing. Imam even worse. How can you just lead the prayer and can't lead the prayer without money? So, what are we giving the money here for? Are we giving the money here because of his imam? So, it is for his time. It's for his time. Because he is actually doesn't need this time, which is he could really make a living for him. We say to him, don't make a living. We suffice you for that. We're giving you because of your time, not because of what? Your imam. Because if you see what imam, I said, can I, please brother, I'll pray you 2 maghribs. Can you just double my salary? Can I make it 4 Aishah for you? Double my salary? Nobody. But if it's at work, in the company, I'll do this and that and this. The ayah will offer you more, isn't it? So it is actually for his time. And also, if he's on a day off, so the imam has got this day off, let's say, for example, Monday. Monday in our country. Monday is day off for 2 people. The imam and the barbers. Don't know why. Okay? So every Monday the imam happens to be in the masjid. Would rather lead? No, it's my day off. That's something now. It's my day off, I can't lead. And I don't want to lead. And that happened actually one day, this person said, I don't want to lead. Subhanallah. Now he doesn't want to, he wanted to teach people that you can't impose upon me. But there's nobody imposing upon. It's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You lead. So he made a person to lead the prayer, even can't recite the Quran properly, because he doesn't want to lead on the day or his day off. I think the committee or in charge of the masjid, I think they blew his mind off. That's why he can't behave properly. You see what I mean? He said, you just want to prove it. Even a person who led the prayer, the person who was there in the prayer, told me everything. The person who led the prayer can't read the Quran. The person, I'm not going to lead. It's my day off. And he stayed behind. Now I don't think the imam would do such a thing in normal cases. So we are giving his time, we're not giving the imam. So the person who's teaching the Quran, he's teaching the Quran, we give him for his time. But if he's, for example, a person brother, I can't read the ayah. Can you read that ayah for me? I don't think it will cost you 50 pence, brother. Another ayah, £1. I don't think he would say that, would he? But you are telling him, come on Monday at that particular time, 4 to 5, I want you to give me that class. So it's not the Quran, it's to do with that time. Because I'm using that time for something else, you compensate me with the time. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam, subhanakallah bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.